Shake it up. Shaking up the garbage we feed on. Shaking up our wondrous being. Let's begin the reFORM. Even if just for a moment, to share the cloying and the suffocating skin. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up right now. Shake it up.
Being human, shaking up our wondrous being. Let's begin the reFORM with Tracy Elsie Wilson. Tracy, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic, thank you. That's probably one of the biggest titles ever, but I feel there are elements of that. I feel there are elements of that are really important. Being human, one of them.
Yeah.
Shaking up our wondrous being, that we'll talk about a little bit more in a moment, and beginning some form of a reFORM.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it's time, isn't it? You know, other ways have been tried, and here we are in this space together. So I chose as a subject. We're going live YouTube and my Facebook page simultaneously. I want to say for anybody joining, replay, catching up, comment, like, subscribe, follow, check out Tracy wherever Tracy is, Tracy Elsie Wilson. Find me wherever I am, life affirming energy. And the subject we agreed on was, what is the purpose of life?
Yeah. A nice long subject.
Yeah, just you know, something that's kind of like relatively easy and small to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah. Not much to it.
Fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think we could probably spend quite a lot of weeks, months, years ahead talking about that.
Yeah.
Have you got any thoughts yourself? Because obviously we discussed the other day that would be the topic. What are your thoughts on the purpose of life?
Yeah, I think there could be many different routes that we can go down with that. But on the level of just normal human beings and how we are, I think many of us have got on to almost unconsciously believing, again, the belief thing, through society, families, growing up, we've kind of got an expectation of what life is, and we end up living that expectation and by other people's belief systems. So if they, let's say for me, I think for many years, definitely, it was like, you just got to get a job. Doesn't really matter whether you like that job, but then you just spend the rest of your life moaning about that job. But as long as you can pay the rent, then you'll hit another period of life where you'll just look forward to retirement for 10 years. And that's all we talk about. And for me, the average person that I've been around, that tends to be what people unconsciously, I mean, I know they make jokes about it, but they tend to live their lives by that. Like
do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think that's promoted? And what I mean by that is I guess in a way the answer has to be yes, really, that it's an unpopular popular view. So basically that's what pretty much most people think. So therefore people think that's what they have to think. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, definitely. I think I know a lot of people that I've been around, and I definitely fell into that place at some point where it felt like that's just what you do.
Yeah.
That's what the conversation becomes. You look forward, you know, you complain about your job, or you get a job that you might be happy with at first, but I think we are meant to evolve as humans, whereas most of us stay stuck. So from a young age, we learn to walk, then we go to nursery and we learn something else, and we're constantly evolving. But at some point in life, we kind of stop doing that we find that job or that lifestyle, and it's almost like this is just how it has to be. There's no give and take, that you might grow out of that at some point, and that it's okay to make some sort of change and to have a new purpose in life to go after. It's almost like if you were to start changing things, it's like you failed or you're giving up on something, when actually as human beings we do change, our interests change, the people that we're around in our early stages of life might not be the people that are meant to be with us throughout life. So it's about, I think it's about evolving, allowing yourself to kind of grow, and it's like it's create, like what you got, it's that creating, but it's creating your own life rather than living your life by the expectations of what's been put on round about you.
Either way, evolution or creation, it can't be conditioned.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is, even if whatever belief systems, and that's what I want to stay outside of ideally, in terms of the discussion, but I am going to use those two as an example, which are two big talking points. How did we get here? By evolution or by creation? Well, either way, whichever one of those two or other possibilities, evolution doesn't stay still. Creation doesn't stay still. So whichever of those it is, the truth of the reality of life that we're experiencing is it's moving. Because when you said about evolution and us evolving, I tell you what conjured up in my mind is with the societal systemic way of it being, is effectively you're evolving within a cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the picture I had. So I had this kind of picture of us as a human family feeling like we're growing and evolving, but actually within a controlled mechanism.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reality of it. So we're talking about purpose. I just want to kind of mark it for people joining. I want to mark it as well for people catching up in replay. The broad topic that we're talking about is, what is the purpose of life? And I'm challenging. I'm doing this, so let me know how you feel in a moment, please, Tracy. But I'm challenging a description of that in the comments. I'm not limiting it, but to anything that is not a belief system in the sense of a structured way of being, religion, politics, science, to some degree. I'm trying to use education. You've already mentioned. So I'm wanting to move it outside of the institutes. So that's where it comes from, being human. And final thought before you share some of what you do. Is it reasonable to say that the majority, if not all of what you do, is about inside, not outside?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's inner work. Could you share a little bit more on?
Yeah, and I think I think there's a lot of confusion around that people kind of think what I'm doing is putting it out, telling people how they should live, and almost like they'll use things like brainwashing, planting seeds and encouraging people to do things that they don't necessarily want to do, when I actually believe that that's what we've all been doing throughout life. That's why we are stuck, or we're going through periods of being unhappy, because those seeds have been planted. And like what you just said there about growing within a cage, it's like that, like the metaphor around the fish. A fish will only grow as big as the tank that it's in, but it might actually have the ability to grow to a greater scale. So for me, I think what I do is I help people see what they're meant to grow to, because we end up stuck in systems, whether it's work, family units or anything, or a group of friends, and we will only grow as big as what those people are doing and what their almost belief systems are. So if you're only around people that think you've got to be stuck in a job for years, or you've got to stay in an unhappy marriage, and and you're not around people that can give you a different outlook or show you what's possible, you will find it very hard to grow in the way of what you might feel inside you want different, but because you can't see it and the people around you aren't showing that it's the done thing, depending on the type of person you are, you will unconsciously hold yourself back to remain in those connections that you know are safe, because it's what you've always known. And then that's going down the lines of like people pleasing and being in connections that necessarily maybe aren't in alignment with you anymore, because you feel like it's wrong to want more than that group, or it's wrong to push yourself more in case you lose that group of friends. So again, that's like keeping yourself within the fish tank, isn't it, and not allowing yourself to grow, and it's finding that balance.
So because you've gone back there again, I've got to stay there with fish tank. I've got to stay there. And those that know anything about me, I wrote a song called Fish Tank.
Oh, really?
And the song called Fish Tank was about my experience of mental health. And it was about perspective. So like a fish, we look into a fish tank and we see the fish, but we don't know what it's like looking out. Well, you've taken that to a different level, which is the constraint and restriction of the fish tank, that the fish will only be able to grow to the size of the tank.
Yeah.
So I often think of it could be controversial. I know there will be people who will be listening who can bung in a load of qualifications, and this is me sharing me, Tracy, not you. Fill your boots, go for it. Because I'm not claiming to be an expert, neither do I think I should be or have to be. But I think depression is over-egged. I think depression is over-egged, and I've been saying this for years. People talk a lot about depression. You will hardly hear any discussion on oppression, repression, suppression.
Yeah.
The talking point is depression.
Yeah.
You won't hear those other words used very often. Yet oppression, suppression, repression, of course, are major factors in depression.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I'm not saying depression doesn't exist. What I am suggesting is back to what you just said. And I think the societal fish tank that we live in, that is a challenge for all of us to swim around, basically. That's really genuinely coming to me. We've not scripted this, but the purpose of life is floating, making our way through life.
Yeah.
So what would you say perhaps to those who might be, I'm being a bit devil's advocate here now, through the work that you do, through the purpose that you fulfill, that in a way, when people are freer, this is what people said of John Lennon, that when people are freer, in a way that leads to anarchy. So there would be some people that would say that.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them,
No.
but there would be some people. What would you say in terms of enabling people to live a more expansive version of their life? So that might mean they need to leave the job, they need to leave the relationship, they need to, whatever it might be. What would you say to those people that perhaps would be, they'd be all over that in a negative way? What would you say?
I would say, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but a lot of times that is, in my opinion, a little bit of resistance and kind of unconscious fear cropping in, and people will jump on and say I'm not fearful and all the rest of it, and they'll say all that, but I'll tell you, once I get onto a call with people with those traits of saying those things, half an hour into the call you see there's a lot of fear. And because subconsciously that's what's happening, we react in a way to keep ourselves safe, and if somebody else is giving us another outlook, that feels a little bit unnerving, unsettling, or like, oh, I don't know whether I could do that, we will come up with well, that's wrong, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be doing that, and we'll find things to kind of sabotage feeling better to keep us in that place. Something that came up to me there just when we were talking about the fish was I was on a coaching training with somebody, and I was talking about how when I was stuck, I hate saying stuck in the NHS because I loved my job for a long time, and I loved helping people, but it was almost like it was hard to get outside of that because the people around me would make, and they were all good people, but through their own insecurities and their own belief systems or whatever, they would kind of say little things that would almost make it feel like it was wrong for me to want more, or wrong for me to be trying to do something different to what was happening in society, not just in that job. And what they said, it was, the person I was working with said it was like being in the lobster. Is it the lobster analogy? Is it lobsters?
Yeah.
I might have got completely the wrong thing, but
it's okay.
if a lot of lobsters are in a bucket and one decides that it wants something more and tries to escape, all the other lobsters will try and keep it in its place. And we find that in life. If the people that you're around, whether it's work, families, friends, aren't evolving at the same rate as you, or aren't wanting a little bit more, or can't see why life is such a struggle for you, they will unconsciously, and they want the best for you, they're not doing it out of badness, but they will try and keep you in the same place that they are.
Yeah.
Which is like what I see a lot of these like negative comments or people that might come out with something. That to me is almost like lobsters who do want a little bit more, but they know their comfort zone, and they see that one person talking about something that kind of stretches that comfort zone, they'll snap at it and try and pull you back down.
Well, we might have some of that. So we might have jump,
Yeah.
in the comments. Fine.
Yeah.
We'll decide, and I will decide. There is a comment actually coming in, which is brilliant. Hello, friends, to Ashish Kumar. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. So people are coming in, and people will, as we begin to do this, because what we're wanting to do is, of course, share these topics with other human beings as a point of discussion. You know, you've got your experience, qualifications. For anyone who's joining, check out a previous interview with Tracy, and you'll find out more about Tracy's life, and likewise myself as well. So we've chosen to join forces, which for me, I'm going to explain one of my thoughts now on the purpose of life. We're keeping it just to ourselves, Ashish Kumar, but thank you for your comments. And we're asking, what is the purpose of life? So my thought is pretty much what you said from the beginning: growth, expansion. Because the natural order of things, whether we evolved or were created, that external belief really matters not to the experience. It might give us different aspects of the viewpoint of the experience, but the experience nonetheless is the same. So to add, we are here to add vantage to our own life and add vantage to the lives of others. That's how I feel it. So as much as I look out the window now and I'm seeing loads of trees and bushes and birds and stuff that just, it grows. It grows, and nothing's limiting it. It just spreads. That's how I see us as human beings. So anything that removes that is a system that's promoted for a variety of reasons of restriction. It's like putting bands on a tree. If you want to stop a tree growing, chop it down and band it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think going back to like those systems, a lot of the people in the systems, again, like I said earlier, they might deep down want change and know that change is needed. I was in a conversation with somebody that's a close friend that's going into nursing, and he's ex-army, so he's now going into nursing, and he was even saying, you know, what we're both sharing is when you go into these systems, they openly invite you, like, what's your ideas? We want to, you know, bring your new, fresh ideas in. But when you start trying to implement those ideas or offering them, they want the ideas, but they don't want to change themselves. So they're wanting things to evolve without doing things differently themselves. So there's a bit of a there's a bit
right. Wow.
A lot of people are fearful of change, and that is, as humans, again, how we're built. We're meant to, our bodies like familiarity, even if that familiarity is something that we'd rather not be doing. It's whatever feels safe. So these people are welcoming, like, we want your ideas, we want, you know, a fresh outlook. But when that means they've got to start doing something different and they have to start making changes with what they're doing, all of a sudden the barriers come up, the negativity comes up, and that's where, again, we end up just caged and stuck because of the fear of change. People want to evolve, but they've got fear of change as well.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really go hand in hand. So you have to be at a certain point where you think, I want change, it terrifies me, I don't know where to start, and then reach out for help so that you can get support to help through that change, rather than coming up with the self-sabotage or the negative comments and the negativity to try and stop that person who's trying to help you evolve.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Tracy, because I was actually feeling a moment ago. It's taken me, if I give myself a personal time scale, if you like, to get out of a smaller tank into a bigger tank. It has been a progressive experience. So I would say I'd probably put at least, which I know you'll understand as well, at least 17 years on it, at least. So I've gone from, you know, that tank, and then I've got into a bit of a bigger tank, and then a bit of a bigger tank. And I don't mean bigger tank as in, yeah, wow, look at me, I'm kind of da-da-da at all. It's just a fuller version, and more me, which is why I'm so passionate about sharing space like this with yourself and others. And for those listening, I think listening to what you just said, of course it is progressive. So that's why I shared my own personal experience. So for me to date, to where I am now, that's at least 17 years. I mean, you could argue going back lifetime. I could even take it back to the age of 5 and very specific things in my life. We got the same comment. Someone say The Meaning of Life is a nice book. True. And there are lots of writings. And I think the key thing is, wherever it is and whoever it is and whatever it is, to add to that vantage point of life. And that's where I see the work that you do. We'll be putting links in the description, the Facebook version of this, because we've got more people joining. Tracy, I want to just let you know that, yeah? So I want those people to comment.
Yeah.
Because we are going to be talking about a variety of different topics. We've chosen purpose of life to begin with. Why are we here? Because I was just thinking about it the other day and thought, I think that's probably one of the greatest barriers. And I want to share a couple of things before we move on. I've heard people well advanced in age who have said, why are we here? What's the purpose? And I think to reach a point in life at that advanced stage of life, to not know, says a lot about the systems and also generations to some degree, without being judgmental of that. And the other thing was, in a TikTok post I put out, a gentleman put a comment which I didn't disparage. He said the purpose of life is for us to pay taxes to our respective governments.
Yeah.
Which goes back to
And again, he's not entirely wrong
No.
either, because that is an aspect, that is like the reality of the purpose of life, because that is, but it shouldn't be our sole purpose.
No.
If we are just going through life thinking that we're doing everything for other people and for all these systems, and we lose sight of what makes us, what fills us up as humans, that's when we go into that place of stagnant, just feeling like we're on a hamster wheel. I think I was on that hamster wheel for a good, I don't like to say all my career, definitely wasn't. But they've definitely reached a stage where you just feel like you're just doing the things. You're just doing the things, you're waiting for your holiday, and then you rinse and repeat. You do that every year kind of thing. And that shouldn't be the way of life. And I think I noticed that more when I lost my mum and dad. My mum was just before she was 57, and my dad just before he would have been just retiring that year. And that kind of gave me a nudge to, right, I'm in a fish tank with a lot of people that I love dearly, and every day all I'm hearing about is how long it is we've got until we retire, and how crap work is, and all this sort of stuff. And it's that same conversation every day. And I think there's got to be more to life than this. Not saying that you just have to go out and give up your job, but you've got to think. I had a coaching conversation this morning, actually. You've got to think what that end goal is going to give you. It might not be able to be immediate. Like people say, oh, when I win the lottery, I'll be happy. When I retire, I'll be happy. What if that's 20, 30 years down the line? Are you just supposed to spend 30 years miserable? So it's like, what will that give you? What emotions? So it might, the girl I spoke to this morning, it was like freedom, helping others, joy from helping others. And I said, right, so do you really need to wait 20 years to get to that stage? Or is there things that you could be doing now alongside these things that aren't really fulfilling you that can kind of move that needle to take you a little bit closer to at least the emotion that you're going to get from having that end result? And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. They think, well, if you can't have that right away, you've got nothing else to do but moan and complain about it and be miserable. But there's always a little thing. You might not be able to have the end result, but you might be able to do something that makes you feel on a similar way as that end result.
Excellent. That's massively accessible.
Yeah.
So I think those who are listening and joining, and there are Louis. I know Louis follows me on TikTok. He's saying hi, so hi to you, Louis. And anyone who's joining, whether they're joining live, whether you're catching up in replay, comment. Because think of that pool of resources. And this ocean that you've opened up for me in the way you were talking a moment ago. So it's like, I'm going to come to a question for you in a moment as well. It's like the reservoir of endless water. That's the fullness of the expanse. But also I turn that round in a thought to think actually the ocean is inside me. So I am very poetic and florid in the way I think, very creative. But for me that's expansive. So rather than it being this narrow, small fish tank, which is not a criticism either of anybody else or previous me, but the possibilities are there, and I love the drops. So I think if somebody's listening at this moment in time and they're thinking, yeah, you know, I'm in a bit of a restrictive tank at the moment. Your advice of just that step, that initial droplet, if you like, of experience, to add to that beautiful thing that you said about filling ourselves up as human beings. That's where the inner ocean. We've got Polly joining, saying hi as well. So that inner ocean, can grow, and I feel we can do that, but I also feel that we can do that for others. So it's not others, but there is an element of the purpose of life that we are here to add to the experience of others, and I feel in what you're saying genuinely that's the case. So I'm going to ask you a question. which in a lot of lyrical content in songs is this. I'm thinking Sting, I'm thinking loads of other songs. If you love somebody, set them free.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true?
Um,
I guess
yeah,
it has to have context as well, but yeah.
yeah, I think, yeah, it does have to, obviously depends on the situation, but I definitely think in the way of us talking about whether it's like not necessarily direct loved ones, but like close friendships or might be partners that we've been with, it could be anything. We are meant to evolve, and it's rather than seeing somebody who clearly wants a little bit more, they might not necessarily want to break free from their current life completely, but allow them that room to expand so that they can have both. I think that's what the problem is. If people see that somebody else is trying to grow and that triggers, oh, I'm not good enough for them anymore, I'm not this, I'm not that, and then they try and pull you back. It's not necessarily so much that you need to set someone free, but give them that
Freedom,
like that rope to just
freedom.
kind of just to explore, but
Yeah.
still be supported and have that friendship or whatever, and be open to just them having something new in their life. I think that's what happens a lot, isn't it? That what we were saying earlier on is if it triggers people, they will they'll try and keep you like the lobsters in your place of where they feel comfortable, because they might be like fine, they might genuinely be happy in their tank or wherever they are, and they absolutely might be happy with that, but it shouldn't necessarily mean that everybody else in that tank has to be just happy there as well. They should be allowed to explore a little bit more as well. So yeah, not necessarily always set them free completely, but just allowing them and supporting them through bringing a little bit more purpose into their own life, and like giving them just allowing them to be a little bit more of conscious of their own needs, and not just making them want to satisfy us, if you like.
I think freedom at times, I know they're words, but freedom at times can seem was within itself like it's total. It's total.
Yeah.
I often prefer the word liberation, to be liberated. So I think us as human beings, I mean, I do a cover version often of the song Human by the Killers.
Yeah.
And apparently one of the meanings of that songs, or the meaning, is questioning, are we free as human beings? So are we human or are we dancers? Is kind of like one of the main lyrics. So basically the thought at the heart of the song is, are we actually truly free? Well, my thought, bit philosophical, is this: we are. Now, we might not be free in the freedom of physical experience because we're limited as to what we can do. But in thought, in feeling, to some degree, in action, in certain things. So therefore, for me, a fuller sense of freedom is liberation. That's more of an active expression of freedom. So, and I've done a lot of thinking around that, a lot of deep diving research, ironically, no pun intended with the words. This has honestly gone so incredibly well. We've got comments coming in. I want people, before we conclude today, to share. Wonderful. Do you know what? Polly's right on the money.
Yeah,
we are
free to react. Yeah.
World around us. So you're seeing the comments. Good. So this is all a learning curve. That's telling me you're seeing the comments. So that's
I can see the comments.
Life is not just about eating and drinking or having fun, but we should also do something for society, I think. Kumar, I think that's so true. So adding to the pool of resources. So when, you're sharing what you're sharing, I'm not hearing it as we're all going to go off and do what we want to do. but being a fuller version of ourselves in purpose and experience of life, we're going to add more to society, which the kind of person that I'm now going to name, because it's a go-to for me, John Lennon. That's what John Lennon was sharing.
Yeah.
And others have as well. So he wasn't sharing anarchy. You know, we're going to tear down society. But the systems that are in place to keep people in place, that's the thing that I challenge. We are free to love, Polly says. So all of this wonderful, beautiful, expansive way of being, and adding to that flow of life. This has been absolutely incredible, Tracy.
Yeah.
This has been a brilliant start. We've got people coming in, and as I've said a couple of times, this is going to be available YouTube, my Facebook page. People comment, give us a follow, find Tracy. If you align with and Tracy aligns with the work that you do to help people, is a possibility. And of course, that's dependent on a number of other different factors, but you're everywhere across social media and available. My music, I write from a position of wanting people to experience the fullest life possible. That's at the core of everything I do. So shaking up our wondrous being, that's what we've done today. We're going to be together Saturday the 2nd of August, 2 p.m. UK time. That's the next time we'll be together. I'm putting you on the spot a bit now, unless somebody puts a comment in as well, which could create a suggestion of a topic of discussion for the next time that we're together. Being human, shaking up our wondrous being. Let's begin the reFORM. And we can all do that in ourselves, and we can encourage that in others as well. What would you perhaps suggest as maybe what could be a very important topic of discussion for next time? And also, of course, we put that over to those who are either here live and or catching up in replay. What do they think as well? Would be good topics of human discussion.
Yeah, I think it's all down to after discussing what the purpose of life is, maybe the purpose of us, purpose of humans, and our connection with ourselves, because that is what's stopping that. It's often our connection with ourselves and how we express ourselves that's stopping us being able to evolve. So yeah, that might be a good topic of just being able to connect inwards, like we said earlier on, and identify all the little telltale signs that show you that there needs to be a change. So there's a lot of us that are stuck, and we've got into a place of saying, oh no, I'm happy in life, life's good, I've got a good job, I've got good this, I've got a good that, and we're kind of stuck with that record, aren't we?
Yeah.
But actually, when we feel into it more, and when people challenge it, they'll still say, oh no, I'm happy, life's good, but they've got so much illness, they're complaining about work and all the rest of it. They just got comfortable with this is just how life is. And it's recognizing the difference to whether you're just comfortable with how life is because you genuinely don't feel like there is a way to change you as a person and how you feel.
It comes down to a lot of life and a lot of success, which of course is, again, people could hear that differently. Success is contentment.
Yeah.
Is contentment. Now, if we're not content, then we have to explore the reasons why.
Yeah.
And that could of course be a discussion that we may have to have with those around us too.
Yeah.
Which is where it then begins to get the interesting bit. But I think with some comments that are coming in, I'm grateful to Ashish Kumar for his gratitude. And I know people will be grateful for this content. A little anxious, which I've learned something really, really quite profound about anxiety recently. I have feelings of anxiety towards certain things that I do. So even in this, even in this space now, at times I feel anxious about being live and talking and how that could be perceived. So what I've just done there is what I didn't used to do. What I used to do was I'd say I'm anxious. I'd say my anxiety. And because I've done a lot of personal development, I know you know where I'm going with it, Tracy.
Don't take ownership of it.
Exactly, exactly. Which I did. And then I watch, I surf like lots of people do. Back to water analogy again. We're definitely on something here. That there's a lot of great content around. Social media is not all toxic. There's some really, really good stuff around, and I include what we're doing here in that. So rather than my anxiety, I'm anxious, when I feel elements of anxiety, I have a tendency to do that with my fingers at times, which is an identifying mark for me, So when I do, if I then share that, which I do at times, I would try to be specific as to what that is about. Which is a great way of improving with the awareness of your feelings of anxiety around things. So that's just me sharing something I've experienced.
And what that and that's what I've learned through what I've been doing as well, because for a long time I would just say I'm anxious, I've got this, I've got that, and think there was no way out of it. But it's been able, rather than just thinking, well, I'm anxious and there's nothing I can do about it, that is just me, change anxious into there's an alarm going off. So it's like the alarm going off in the house. If you treated it like anxiety and it was just the whole house, there's not much you can do. But where's that alarm going off? Oh, it's going off in the kitchen, in the body. Oh, it's going off in my stomach. So what's happening? What's that alarm trying to tell me? And it could be like, in this moment, I feel nervous. I feel like people will be judging me. What's going off? There's got to be other. Anxiety doesn't just go off for no reason. The body's got memory. So even if you're not necessarily thinking, like I'm not sat here thinking I'm uncomfortable, people might be judging me. I'm not thinking that at all. I'm enjoying the conversation. But my stomach will flare up because the body remembers people can be judgmental. People can do this. So it'll give you a little warning just to like say, oh, just be careful. I don't know if this is safe what you're doing, but just be careful. Just to allow you to reassess. But then I'm telling myself I'm safe, I'm comfortable, I'm talking to somebody that I know, it's okay. It settles. Whereas if I just allowed it to run off like anxiety, it would spiral, and then I would go off into a little bit of a
And I think if we expand that even further, and we have to be careful with this because of course we are safety creatures. We do need to not just trust everybody and anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes that gut feeling's there for a reason.
We're human. We're human. So I think the important thing is to open up about that, of course, with the right people, but to do that over a period of time with the right people. So that's one of the fundamental reasons why I want to do this. I'm going to go through a couple of comments because we are honestly within this first live that we're doing. We're the change. It starts with us, Polly. I think Ashish Kumar says about any help to release stress. I feel that we're going to be doing that week by week. Healing sounds, frequencies, great conversation both. That's much appreciated. And I think we're going to begin to, over a period of several weeks, months, future tense, going to grow with the concept of what we're doing, which is being human. Being human, shaking up our wondrous being and endeavouring to connect with others to find out about their experience as well. So we're encouraging human comments, life affirming comments. I try to avoid using the word positive. But comments that are going to add to a greater experience of all of our lives. So if you're watching this after this has gone out, we've ended the stream, it's going to be there. Ironic, isn't it? stream.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how this has all come together?
Yeah.
Lobsters, fish tank, pooling resources. You know, memory's water. Water
Yeah.
holds memory.
Our body is filled with water. Yeah. Yeah.
And we're flowing, and we want people to flow with us.
Yeah.
So Tracy, it's been amazing being with you. For those that are here now, 2nd of August, Saturday, 2 p.m. UK time, we're going to be back here again, connecting with self.
Yeah.
Is that reasonable?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Yeah.
I think as a content, and
Yeah,
amazing.
connect with self. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for joining us, and Tracy, thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you.